Welcome to Creating from the Heart, the Artistry of Living. Today I have with me Marty Corley, Chief of the Operations for the Michigan City Police. Hi, Marty.
Hey,
How are
how
you
are you?
doing?
Great. I'm great.
We're in his office. Oh my God, never been up here before. So how did you get here? How did you decide to become a policeman?
So if you listen to my mom, she would tell you that I've always wanted to be a police officer, that I always played cops and robbers or played with police figures or so forth. I became interested in policing or law enforcement in high school. I watched a documentary about the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, in which is all intrigued. So I remember going to high school and speaking with
What intrigued you?
I
the
guess
drugs
just
or
not even that, just the way they did, the equipment, um, the action, and just that part just really intrigued me. Just the way they, I don't know. When I saw this documentary, it just like I was like all in. I was like,
It's
that's
like
what I
being
want
out
to
on
do.
fire, right?
Yeah, it's like that's what I want to do. So I go to high school. I go to school and I talked to the school resource officer, who at that time was Sue Harrison. Um, and kind of ask her some information about it. She gives some information. So then I go on to college, and I go to a junior college and I study criminal justice, and and keep going on and finally get my degree. And I decide at that point that I don't know if I want to be a federal law enforcement, but I know I want to be in law enforcement. So I end up getting into policing, and it's ironic that one of my first encounters with wanting to be a police officer that I can remember, not telling my mom's story, was with Sue Harrison. When I get hired, Sue Harrison at that time was a sergeant and a corporal sergeant, and she was my training officer. So it's ironic. I start, my interest in law enforcement starts with her, and then when I get into law enforcement, I'm started with her.
There she is.
Yeah, there she is. And so, so then from there, I just, I studied, got hired at the police department. Actually had a rough road getting here because I thought at one point I wanted to be the state police, and I applied a couple of times, didn't make it.
Why state police?
You know what? I was just looking at like they could drive their cars all over the state of Indiana. At that time, the benefit package was pretty good. My mom always told me to kind of look at the benefits, and I just had the entrance, and I had another friend who was actually going through that process too. So I got interested there, but I ended up getting here to Michigan City, and in between here, I was a probation officer. So I kind of stayed still in law enforcement, but I'm here and.
I remember when you were part of the school system, or you were over in the school system.
Yeah, so
what were you doing there?
So my journey on the police department brought me to being the school resource officer. And I did that for 6 months, maybe. A lot shorter than what I thought I was going to be there for. But it was a great experience. But at the time,
bond you to the community.
It did, always loved kids. I've always worked in some type of capacity of trying to mentor or do things for the youth in the community. So that was like key for me, but it was just a different, it wasn't, I don't think at that moment, that's not where I was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? I was there for a moment, but not too long. I just, no, enough for me to get a little bit
get the feel of it.
Get the feel of it. So Sue Harrison was my lieutenant. She was the lieutenant over the detective bureau. That's where I was assigned out of. And so she then, it's like me and Sue Harrison have been, she had been guiding me along my career. She then took me out of schools and kept me in the detective bureau because she thought I could be more useful there instead of the schools at the time, which probably was a better move in my career for me to not be in the schools at that time. Not in that capacity, not as a police capacity. So.
And so here you are.
So here I am.
This is not exactly out on the street.
Nope. You know what? If you would have told me 21 years when I started that I would be sitting in the assistant chief's office, I would have told you no. Nah, not for me. I don't really care about that. But working as a police officer and also being in tune with the community, this is where this is a journey that I knew I would have that would lead me here. This is one of the stops I knew I would have to come to if that's what if I was really committed to community and policing and bridging that gap, So and that's one of my biggest things is bridging that gap between police and community. I think it's very important, to have some type of connection, whether it's, small, big, whatever the connection is. You have to have some small connection, whether it's, the 5-year-old kid that waves at you every morning at the bus stop,
Right.
or it's the 15-year-old kid that, gives you a hug, I'm saying, those type of things, so you need to have some kind of connection to the community, whether it's kids, adults, dogs, cats, whatever. You need to have a connection with the community, and it's
And
very
what do you
important.
like best about this job now?
Well, I've only
You
been
don't
here.
mind my
I haven't
asking?
been here that long.
Uh-huh.
But so far, what I really like about it is being able to place people in the right positions. And
Nice.
it's not so much assignments, but even when it's, again, bridging that gap between police and community is
Mm-hmm.
important. So sometimes I'm able to place people in the right positions for the community, and that can mean interaction or solving problems or whatever.
And on your way up, you developed an awareness that makes you know, I think, because
Yeah,
I've watched you. You know what's going on in the whole community, and you know what's needed where.
yeah. My journey after college, coming back home, was in college. I kind of developed this philosophy that I want to be involved. And so when I came home, I got involved in everything. I was in any meeting, any organization, I tried to join it, but that allowed me to build great relationships,
Mhm.
connections, and then and I think that's really what helped me as a police officer develop to being a better police officer, and being, getting
Mhm.
into position was those encounters that I had. But again, I think it's very important that we are connected, police and community, because that is the way to move us forward. I always tell guys all the time, I say, hey, get involved. I'm not asking you to do what I do. I'm not asking you to be on several boards or, give so many hours, but get involved, be a presence, because in this job, you have seconds to make a decision that you think is the right decision, and sometimes left life and death. But the community only knows what they see on social media and so forth. But when you have a personal connection with them, no matter what social media says about policing, they know you. So if you are involved in an incident that's tragic and people are questioning whether you did the right thing or not, the community that you have a relationship with will pump their brakes and say, hey, look, I'm not saying Officer Joe is a saint, but I know that Officer Joe that I know is not the same Officer Joe that y'all are trying to portray Officer Joe to be, because I know Officer Joe. And so before I make a judgment, I'm the judge of Officer Joe. You have to show me all the facts to show me other than what I know Officer Joe as, or to say that Officer Joe really did something as bad as you're trying to paint it, because that happens all the time. So I think it's important that we have those connections, and that we get involved and build relationships. It's big, and relationships are the biggest thing, because at the end of the day, if you have relationships, whether you agree or disagree, you can still continue to work.
That's right. Exactly. I've always said communication is everything.
Oh yeah, it is.
And communication happens verbally, it happens in writing, and it happens just by being in the presence of another
Mm-hmm.
person.
Yeah, it does.
And how you are in the presence of another person carries forward.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any advice you have for people coming up in the world?
Advice.
Hmm.
Yes. The biggest advice, and something that I've been preaching lately a lot, is when you are involved in either organizations, work, or positions of authority, or positions of power, or positions of just doing the right thing, or making sure, or you're supposed to make sure things are done right for others, not only yourself. Make sure you make it about business and not personal. And again, that goes along with building relationships and disagreeing, and continue to work, because at the end of the day, if it's about business, um, then our disagreements can continue to help us. We can continue to work through those. But when we start making it personal, that's when we start working, because now you didn't attack my philosophy, you didn't attack my thinking, or you didn't attack the way that my proposal. You attacked me, and when you
Right.
attack me, I feel some type of way, opposed to when you attack my 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 methods.
My concept or
Yeah,
my point of view
yeah,
or
my
my
point of view,
whatever.
or those things, the way I'm doing business, then I can correct that. But
Or I can respond to it.
right, I can respond, I can agree, I can try to work on it. But personally, when you attack me, I don't even want to deal with you anymore. And I think not just pointing out government, but in any type of field where you have to work with people, I think that's what causes us to break down and move backwards and have so many problems, because we make business personal when it's not supposed to be personal. It's supposed to be business. And, you know, if whether you're elected, appointed, or employed to do a job, keep it about business, not personal.
Right. And one of the things about business is if at least for me, is if you're doing something you love, the conflicts are usually not there. You can usually be open enough to receive feedback.
Correct.
But if you are not doing something you love, your defenses are up. Your whole attitude about anybody's giving you any feedback is up.
Yeah.
So,
and speaking of love, I mean, they always say, if you love what you do, you're really not working. It's not a job, you know, it's not
right.
this. I mean, you know, 21 years in, I still, you know, have my days, but for the most part, I remember being brand new and going to work and putting on all my equipment. And I'm like, man, I only got 8 hours to be in this. I need 12 hours. Like I have it on. I don't want to take it off now. And never really thought about my pay, you know, what my benefits were. All I know is I want to go out there and save the world, you know, and I still have that same feeling, you know, but pay and benefits, you know, come along when it start having family and so forth, right. and bills. But, right. but you know, I still love this job. I often talk about leaving. Don't know. I mean, it sounds like, yeah, I'm gonna leave. I'm retired. But when that moment comes, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. So
because you like this so much.
I love it. I mean, I've been doing it for 21 years. I mean, I've had many jobs, but never for 21 years. You know, I've always had, you know, your 2, 4, 5 year jobs, and this is a career, and it's going great. And again, I know I need to retire, and you know, many of my colleagues say policing is not the same. You know, that you know the community doesn't love us no more. And I tell people, like I said, it's not like that. I said 90% I think of the world still loves us. It's the 10% that we have to deal with on a regular basis,
right.
who really don't like us. Because I mean, if I came to your house too and had to take you, I might not like you either. But you know, I think you know we lose touch with that. But at the end of the day, this is a great profession. It's a great job, and I would tell anybody, it's different. It changes, but the world changes. Right. Every profession changes some way, and so you know sometimes in order to do things better and get better, you have to have change. And so sometimes the changing process may not be comfortable, but somebody has to go through that to make it better. And I think that's how law enforcement is going. And I think at the end of the day, you know, these changes may not always be how we feel like appropriate or the best, but I think in the long run, it'll bring this whole world to a better spot. So,
and when you retire, I want you to remember, you'll just be getting a new set of wheels. You'll yes. be doing the same thing, except in another venue.
So can I get a quick, can I give myself a quick business promo?
Sure.
Or
yes, please.
So when I retire, come see Marty Corley bow ties, okay?
Thank you, Marty. Thank you. It's great. Creating from the heart, the artistry of living, Marty Corley. Thank you.
Thank you.